Hey everyone, it's Nate here with Element Van Life. I just wanted to do my Tuesday Q&A video. I do these every other Tuesday. The next one is going to be on November 29th. And, if you have questions, the way it works, post your questions below in the comments section and I will answer them in the next Tuesday Q&A video. If you have questions, make sure to post them in the most recent one though, so that I can answer it in the next one. Let's get started, guys. We have a lot of great questions to go over this week. First one comes from JP, John Schechtel. He says, JP here, quick question. What are some things that living in the element has taught you that you maybe weren't expecting? Jeez, that's a really good question. No one's ever asked that yet. But, I mean, I've learned a lot through this whole experience. And I think that probably some of the biggest things are just, I guess, just being confident in the lifestyle. I've learned how to become very confident in my choices and in my appreciation for minimalism and my appreciation of the van life lifestyle in general. You know, when I first went into it, I didn't really know what to expect, and I was always, very, very set on doing it. But over time, you just become more comfortable with it. And when I first started, I didn't really know how to explain to people that I was living in the element and all that. But now I feel like I don't have to justify it at all. I feel like I can tell folks that, and if they don't accept me for some reason or whatever it is, then it is what it is. I can accept that and be more confident in my decision to choose this lifestyle. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned. I'm sure there's other things too, but that's I could probably talk about that question for a while, maybe make a whole video on it. But that's a good question, though. Thanks for asking it. The next one comes from Mary Taylor. They say, "Hi Nate, I've been watching your channel for a few months and I really enjoy your videos." Thank you. Can you tell me what brand of rain guards you are using that you just bought? Did you only buy two, or the inline or stick-on? I bought a 2006 Element last year. Came with stick-on ones, but they have a few holes and cracks I'm looking to replace. Yeah, so it was easy to install. The rain guards were really easy to install. The brand, they're called AVS rain guards. I got them on Amazon. I think they were only like $20 for the two of them, and it came in a 2-pack. It's just for the front windows. It obviously doesn't go for the back windows because they have the pop-out window. It's not like your traditional roll-down window or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, they've been great so far. They were super easy to install. You basically just roll down your window and then slide them in between, I guess, where the window would normally fill in when it's up all the way, and they have like little adhesive all the way along the sides, and you just stick them right in there, and it was super easy to do. I rolled up the window, it tightened the seal really well, and I haven't had any problems so far. I mean, I can't really speak to longevity or anything like that, but they were AVS rain guards, and I got them on Amazon. Next one comes from Natural Nomad. They say, "Hey Nate, I did the Mardi Gras thing and ate some of the great food in New Orleans. Are there any naturally unique or beautiful places to see in New Orleans that you would recommend? Peace." Yeah, that's an interesting question. There's really not too many. New Orleans really isn't known for its like natural beauty. I think what really makes New Orleans beautiful is the food, obviously, and the culture and the people and the music. Like there's a lot of really unique aspects of New Orleans that make a great architecture, things like that, but those aren't really naturally there. I really do enjoy driving south of the city. Sometimes I'll go and surf in like Grand Isle and Port Fourchon in that area, and on that drive you get to drive through the bayou and all these little rural towns that are right on the water, and like these houses with houseboats that are right on the water. It's pretty neat to see the bayou and see that whole atmosphere, like the swamps. You don't really get to see that. At least I never did before moving down here. So that's something naturally that I really appreciate. And up in Mandeville, and up towards the rural areas, I mean, it is very pretty up in that area as you get, away from the city to an extent. And the Lake Pontchartrain is really pretty as well. Another place definitely to check out that's naturally occurring and is pretty nice. But for the most part, though, if you want mountains, if you want real ocean, you have to go out of the area to get that sort of thing, that sort of natural beauty. Next question comes from Mike Peterson. They say, "Nate, how do you get Wi-Fi when out on the road in the element? Do you have Wi-Fi booster in your element? Showing you nothing but love from upstate New York." Thanks. Yeah, so I do have a Wi-Fi hotspot now. Actually, it's actually a pretty recent development. I got this only about a month ago when I was in North Dakota. I decided to go with a Sprint hotspot. So I have that. That's 10 gigs of data that I can use from the Element. I don't actually have like a range extender or a booster or anything like that though. I know I've seen those before. I'm thinking about maybe getting one at some point, but I'm not too confident in how well they work, so I haven't really decided on that yet. But otherwise, when I'm on the road, I'll go to Starbucks. I'll go to places that have public Wi-Fi, usually exclusively Starbucks because it is excellent Wi-Fi, and I would use that all the time before I had the hotspot. You just got to be picky, about when you're using it, especially to upload videos and stuff, because that uses a lot of data. Alright, so the next question comes from Fantastic Freedom. She says, let's see here, what equipment do you use for recording your videos? So for that, I use my smartphone. That's what's recording right now. It's an LG G4 Android phone. It has an excellent camera on it. I definitely recommend it. It's really, really awesome. And then I also use my GoPro Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition as well, and that also works well for like those like angle shots and the driving shots and anything interesting that I have to get. Like it has the big fisheye lens, so that's really nice as well. And then they also say, what editing software do you use and why? Right now I use Windows Movie Maker. I've been trying to get up to some other different types of video editing software. My computer has struggled with just about everything that I've tried, even like the basic open source ones and stuff like that. For some reason, I don't have a dedicated graphics card in my computer, so it doesn't really do very well with other editing software. And I'm also really comfortable at this point with Movie Maker, so I've been using that a lot. Eventually, I'll upgrade to something else, maybe once I get another computer. But it says that you're using iMovie since it's free on my iPad. I've heard great things about iMovie. I'm not really a Mac person. I've always had PCs, but I have heard really good things about iMovie, and maybe if I ever had a Mac, I would definitely try to use it. I hear it's pretty comprehensive and really solid. And I think that just about answers it there. Alright, so the next one comes from Peter N. They say, how has your Element been so far as maintenance and reliability, as far as maintenance and reliability? So a big reason why I chose the Element is for like reliability reasons and the concept that the Element is relatively known for being pretty reliable. So that's a big part of it. So far mine has been okay. I won't say it's been perfect. I had an issue with my ignition switch failing last year, I guess almost exactly a year ago now, and that was a pretty big problem. That really sucked kind of, but it's pretty common. It's something that happens a lot with the Element. I think that just about every Element has that sort of an issue. So I got that fixed and it's been fine since, but that's something that happens. And then there's like little stupid things that go wrong with all the Elements, like the door locks locking up and you can't open them up and things like that. It all has to do with the key and the ignition switch and the door locks and those things. But overall, in terms of like transmission and engine reliability, it's been pretty solid so far, knock on wood, and it's been good. Maintenance hasn't been too bad. It's been pretty solid. It's a Honda, and I hope to get some more time out of it for sure. At least another year, maybe more than that. Next question comes from Tin Man. They say, I do have a question for you now. Because you have a job and don't have rent or utilities, do you think that you use more gas during the week? I think it's possible that I spend more gas. I mean, I guess it all depends on, like, if I was living in a stationary location, would I be driving, and how long would that commute be, and things like that. Whereas, like, working at this office that I'm at now, I literally slept 1 block away from the office and just got out of the car and walked to work today. So, that definitely saves on gas. But yeah, at the same time, I have the battery isolator, so I make it a point to drive around at night a little bit. I have friends in all different parts of the city, so I'm always driving around to see friends and to do things like play soccer and whatever else it is. So, I guess it's really hard to say for sure, but I think it's definitely possible that van life in general causes you to use a little bit more gas maybe than being on a set schedule, especially if your commute is really short for work or whatever it may be. Next question comes from Tough Score 1. They say, question, what coding languages are you using, and would you want to collab on a coding project with your viewers? So for me, I've been learning, what coding languages are you learning? So I've been learning like mostly front-end languages like JavaScript, and then certain like JavaScript libraries like jQuery and then CSS and HTML and various frameworks for CSS like Twitter Bootstrap, and then I've also done things with PHP and MySQL as well, and a little bit of back end in that sense. But for the most part, mostly front end stuff. I mean, I would definitely be interested in hearing about any sort of collaboration project and possibly getting into it. My time is pretty limited right now between this job and everything else that I have going on, but I would definitely be interested in hearing about it and maybe trying to do something like that, definitely. Next question comes from nchris41. They say, do you ever have problems with vandalism or theft when you are urban or boondocking? Just curious if bad people see your opportunity as... Okay. So, not really too bad, at least that I've noticed so far. I mean, I'm sure that it's something that could happen and probably will happen at some point in the future, unfortunately, but... Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it is what it is. From the outside, the element looks pretty typical, other than the surfboard on the roof. But for the most part, it looks pretty normal. And the front seats are usually pretty empty, and you can't really see in the back. So hopefully that'll help protect me for a while. But I guess it is what it is. I'm sure that, like you said, there are bad people out there, and I'm sure that could happen at some point. Next question comes from Eric Phillips. They say, was this your space heater with a link? And I did click the link. That was the space heater. That was the one for $10 from Walmart. The next question comes from the High-Tech Hobo. He says, hey man, I'm not sure if you've answered this already. Maybe someone can answer for you, but how do you go about getting ready in the morning, brushing your teeth, and so on? So yeah, in the morning, I usually shower in the evenings at the gym, so I don't have to shower in the mornings. And my routine since I started this new job here in New Orleans has just been to, like I said, just kind of wake up. I usually park pretty close to work and just either walk there or just drive and park right next to the office and go in. Brushing my teeth, I use my sink to brush my teeth in the mornings. I'll clean up, sometimes use some of like the baby wipes that I have just to wipe down if I feel like I need to do that for some reason, if I was sweaty or something at night. But for the most part, yeah, just getting ready, typical. I dress in the van. I take my shirt out of the closet here. I hang it up over here and, just throw it on, and that's about it. Break down the bed, obviously. That's the first thing I do. I guess I should mention that, but it's a pretty easy process. It takes me about 20 minutes or so to get ready and get out of here for the day. Next question comes from MoonPie78. They say, hey Nate, I'm 6'0", and I'm wondering if you think I'd be too tall to fit in a bed in the element. I think you've said before you're 5'9", so I'm curious to see if 3 more inches would make a difference. I don't think 3 more would make too much of a difference. I think I had somebody ask about how they were 6'4" or something like that at some point, or maybe even like 6'7" or something. So, yeah, that would probably be a problem. But the bed itself is, it is 75 inches in length entirely, and the platform is 72, so it does extend over the edge just a little bit. But in terms of the mattress, you have 75 inches. That's over 6 feet. I think that you'd probably be okay. You might even be able to stretch out all the way and be comfortable. Next question comes from World Peace 2016 2016. They say, what do you give to your employer for an address? And if you have a viable one in New Orleans, when you are in different cities, what do you do? So for my employer, I have a permanent address here in New Orleans, and if I'm in a different city for an extended period of time and I'm going to take up work there, I get an address there as well. So I'll get a second address. They're usually pretty cheap. They're like $12 a month or something like that, and you'll get another address there, which I can give to my employer there. And then also I'll need to have things shipped to me more often than not. I order something on Amazon. If my family maybe wants to send me something or something like that, I need to be able to do that. So that's why I would set up an address if I'm going to be in a different area for a long time as well. It is necessary to provide one for like W-2 purposes. They need somewhere to send the W-2 or the 1099 if you're working contract. So yeah, you definitely need to have one, and that's what I did. Like I said, when I was in San Diego, I got one there while retaining my one here in New Orleans as well. Alright, the next question comes from GL Peter 51. They just say, just started to watch your videos. Question for you, do you move to a different location every night where you park, or do you park in one spot for a couple of days? Hopefully the cops updated their info so the cop doesn't come by and stick to another boot on the tire. Yeah, hopefully, I think the city of New Orleans has updated that, so they're not going to put a boot on my tire anymore. But yeah, you never know. You never know with this crazy city. Like your videos. One more question: how do you charge or run your computer in a vehicle? So for the last question there about the computer, I have a 12-volt charger that runs on my 12-volt battery with my system. So it's just like it has a cigarette lighter plug on. I just plug that in and I'll charge. More often than not, I do rely on like public places to charge up the laptop though. I'll go to Starbucks pretty frequently. Sometimes I'll be at a friend's house and I'll plug in and charge up, just because it uses a ton of power to charge up the laptop if I'm not there. So that's what I do for the computer. And then the first part of your question about parking, I always change up the spot. I never park in the same spot more than one night in a row. And even like the same night, I'll avoid the same place. I'll go like 7 days sometimes, maybe somewhere between 5 and 7 days before even considering returning to a spot that I had parked at 5 to 7 days previously. So I mix it up a lot. I try to change it up as much as I can, and never try to park in the same place twice within the same week. Next question comes from Blandine Leckins. They say, "Hi Nate, thanks for answering my question on the 1st of November. No problem. Another one for you. Aren't you afraid to stay too long in New Orleans and lose the Nomad Life vibe? Hope to see you on adventures again soon." Yeah, so no, I'm not really. I don't think I'm ever going to lose the Nomad vibe. I've always been kind of a nomad. I really enjoy traveling, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget that. Even if I do settle down in some place in 5 years or whenever that may be, I'm still going to be moving around and traveling a lot as much as I possibly can. But yeah, I mean, I figure I have to be in New Orleans for at least the winter with this new job, and then also just because the weather here is at least bearable in the wintertime. And then from there, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be back on the road again. I don't think I'm going to be here for forever. Certainly not forever, and probably not for much longer than the winter. But like I said before, you never know. You never know what'll happen. But I'm certainly not afraid that I'll lose the Nomad vibe. I think that even when I'm here, I'm itching for ways to get out of town and go explore and go to Florida to surf, and go out to Colorado to ski or whatever it may be. So I'm always kind of moving around, and like when I lived here previously, and I figure I'll probably be doing that again while I'm here for the winter. The next question comes from Albie Chevis. They say, "Hey Nate, you mentioned sheepoverliving.com. Are you going to attend the RTR in Quartzsite this year in January?" I'm not planning to right now. I would love to go to that in January, the Rubber Shrimp Rendezvous, and meet Bob Wells, and get to know some folks out there. I think that would be a really awesome thing to do. And if I can go, I would, but I just, based on how things are looking right now, it doesn't seem very likely that I'm going to make it out there, unfortunately. The next question comes from Pyru Creek. They say, "Do you have a TV or watch any movies on your computer?" No, I don't have a TV right now, and I really don't watch movies very often. I mean, every once in a while I will, like once in a great while. I probably only watched a couple in here though since I started doing the van life. I don't know. I tend to find other things to do that I think are more productive, I guess, and I'm usually just too busy doing all kind of random things to even have time to. But occasionally I will use my computer to watch a movie or like a TV show or something like that every once in a while. Next question comes from Peace and Love. They say, "Hey Nate, what advice would you have for someone starting off in this lifestyle? I'm thinking about starting out by living in my Camry initially just to test the waters. I figure if I can manage it in a sedan, then a van will be a breeze. Thanks so much for sharing your experiences." I think you answered the question there. Going for it and trying it is obviously something great. And with a Camry, I think you're right. I think that's a great way to give it a try. I had a sedan originally, which I was considering to use before I got the Element, and I never ended up actually using it because I bought the Element instead. I think I've told this story before, but I wanted to pay off the sedan that I had, the Hyundai Elantra, and get the Element. So, but doing it in the Camry, seems like a pretty awesome way to test things out, because you're going to have to pare down to basically the smallest amount of things that you possibly can, and then if you get a van, you can go up from there. But moving into a Camry for a little while will help you really, really push the limits of minimalism, and then I think you can learn from that. And once you get the van, you'll be able to build it out, make it as comfortable as you want, and have plenty of space to live. It'll feel like a mansion, so that's definitely seems like a pretty cool thing. Good luck with that. Keep me posted. Let me know how that goes. Next one comes from John Cook. "What kind of address do you have? I know you can't use a P.O. box, driver's license with a registration. How do you get access to a permanent address?" So for me, that's actually a good question. I think it looks like it was answered by somebody already, but it's the last question, so I'll answer it for you again. And the way that I kind of go about doing that, with me, it's not a P.O. box that I get from my address. They give you a physical address, so it's like 1 Main Street, mailbox number, or even just number. They don't even say mailbox, just 1 Main Street, number 123, or whatever it may be. So it actually looks like a real address. So when I write it down, very rarely is someone going to be, like when they see the number, they just assume it's like an apartment number. They assume it is what it is, So it works really well. It's not just like P.O. Box 123 city, so on and so forth. You actually have a physical address that you can use. So I think that would work for just about anything from getting a license to, well, I guess certain states it might not because they're more technically advanced, but I don't know. I haven't done it yet, but I think in terms of getting a license, things would be okay, and at the very least, it's perfect for, providing an address to my employer, and I've touched on this already, but that sort of thing, it hasn't really been a problem so far. So that sums up all the questions that we've got this week, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, like I said, post them below, and I will answer them in the next Tuesday Q&A video. The next one will be on the 29th of November. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to you all in the next video.